And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Training with Baxter on Facebook Live here on this Friday evening. I hope you've had a very good day and welcome. This evening I want to continue on with a little bit of the training based on some of the stuff I had talked about last night. But it actually can, like I say, continue on here with it. It says knowing your target market is, if you read the headline above on my Facebook page here, it says that. On my board right there it says it, but I noticed that you can't hardly see some of it because my overhead light there shining right on my little board. But anyway, last night I talked about that my grandfather had taught me a long time ago about the difference between the use of a shotgun and a rifle, and how that he could take a rifle and his little 22 Springfield he had there, and he showed me how to shoot it, showed me all these good things, and he could take that, and at 20 paces out there he could strike a match, and he could take in what they call a stovewood match, which was, you know, a little skinnier than that, but right on the tip of that match it had a white little thing on the end of it, and he'd set that up in a post and sit out there, and he'd come back and he'd steady his hand with that rifle on another post or whatever he might want to lean on, and he would shoot that thing and strike that, and the bullet would go across and make that match light up, just like if you struck a lighter, and it would come on. Now, he couldn't do it every single time, but he would come very close to it, you know. So, but the point is that he knew where his target was. He figured out how far away he could do that, and he knew how to set his sights to see that. And so the same thing later on in my years, as I was growing up, that my parents sent me off to a 1-week Boy Scout camp down in the swamp where we had a bunch of red bugs and mosquitoes, but they also had a lot of events for us to do in there. And one of the things that I took a liking to real quick was archery. And so they had there for us some between a 35-pound bows into a 45-pound bow. And so I would use that. I learned that was where I went to most of the time, because it just was something that I liked to do, seeing how I was at that time a person who liked to hunt and shoot and learn things about that. But what they showed me was the very same thing as I just described, is that they would set up a target out here a good ways off out there in the field. And, you know, and of course the target has, you know, your white rings, and then it would have a red ring, so you could tell the difference in what it was. And it kept going right on down until finally you had what they called the bullseye. And that's not very dark, is it? But anyway, the bullseye right here was what you always strive to hit. And when you got good at hitting it at a certain distance with the bow you was using, then they would move the target another 5 feet back, and so forth. And so you learn to shoot that and hit your target, or at least in that bullseye or around that centerpiece there, 95% of the time, to earn your merit badge. And so this is what I did. And so I wanted to use that this evening to the same idea, is knowing where your target was. And so to know your target, you have to see your target in some form or fashion. Granddaddy showed me he would see the white tip out there at a certain distance, that is just a tad above it to make it light up. To shoot this here, I had to be able to see the target wherever it was, however far back they set it, because if it's way out of sight, you know, then of course I wouldn't be able to, you know, aim the bow at it or aim the arrow at it. And so this is knowing your target. If you are a captain of a ship, or if you get on an airplane or a ship to go somewhere, and just say you're going from North America to Ireland or somewhere like that, then they can't see the target in reality, in physical form, but they know it's over there because of the way that they have set up the longitude, latitude, and these points are over here. And so they know where it's at. They see it in their mind. They program it into their computer. And as the ship goes along to get there, or the airplane flies, you have winds that blow that, and it brings it right back on course till it finally hits the target it's going to. In marketing, it's the very same idea. Sometimes you can't actually see your customers, but you can know where your customers are. You can go and find them in certain ways, particularly on the internet, as we're talking about here. And so there's 5 questions that you would need to ask yourself, and we'll go over these here real quick here. So ask yourself about the customer you're looking for so that you can then decide how you're going to hit that target. And the first thing is you need to ask the question is to know, how can I solve what problems that they have? How? Then the next is what questions can I ask of them or ask myself about them that I could answer for them? And then how can I relate to those people? How can I have something going on with them so that we can have a connection here? And then what do I have that is unique about what I have to offer that they will say, okay, yeah, I like that. Give me that over here. And then the last question is, why should they care? Why should they care about what product I have or service or whatever it might be? So let me give you an example from the physical world, since that's where I work at in a 10-hour day, dealing with these things in various forms. I'm not the one always in front of the customer, but I definitely have my hands on it in a lot of different ways. And so the first thing is that I work with a hardware company, and we deliver mostly to residential homes. And so we have an outside salesman. Now, we cover a area not too big, 50-mile radius, 60-mile radius, because you can only drive so far in what we do. And so if I wanted to find out about where people are building at, one of the ways that we do this is we go to the county seat person, the courthouse, or wherever it might be, that they keep or give out building permits. You can go there and get a list of everybody that has applied for a building permit, and then they have issued it for them, and they're fixing to start building on this month or next month or whatever it might be. Now, to narrow that target down, as I was talking about here, to be able to hit a bullseye like we're talking about, I do not want, since I live in Brantley County in Georgia, I work in Brantley County in Georgia, I do not want something up here in New Jersey. I don't want those. I just want the ones that are in my locale. Therefore, I'm bringing my target market down to the area that I can work in. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to find out where they are. We want to ride by and we want to see where they're building at. And so as we go by, we can tell where they're building at, if they started, have they been pushing up anything, and so forth. And so we're asking then the first question is, what problems can I solve? Well, it depends on what stage they're in. As I go out there, the problems I can solve is, do you have the materials that you need to be able to begin your building? In other words, whenever you're starting out, do you have your battery boards? Do you have your rebar, your rod chairs? Do you have your mud steel anchors? Do you have your string and your layout and your paint? And all these things here are problems that they have, and how can I solve that? Is I can get that to you, and I have some really good service. We got quality stuff. And if you'll let me quote that for you, we think our prices are compatible as well with everybody around us. And now we say it like that because, or in that general term, because there are 7 other stores within the same 50-mile radius competing for that same person's house. Okay? So this makes this process here even a little more challenging for us. So we go out, and like I said, we talk about where they are. When we go out, we've been dealing with this for some time, my outside salesperson or myself, so we can tell where they're at, what they need, and where they go. So what questions can I answer for them when I get there, whenever we start talking? Well, there's a lot of questions that come up. For instance, one of the things is that people do not know, if you're fixing to build a house and you want it to go smoothly, quickly, and be done, the complete job within 3 months' time or thereabouts, that whenever you go to break your ground, then you need to order your windows and doors right then. Because sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks, depends on what kind you buy, sometimes up to 6 weeks to get that stuff in if you're going to have special order stuff or creative designs that you might have chosen from something. Because these things are not just made overnight, and it's not right around the corner. You have to order it, talk about it, get it approved, come back, bring it. And so you need some more of my questions that I can answer for them. Have you ordered your windows and doors yet? I see you're breaking ground out here. And if they say no, well, do you know you need to get this done, or you're going to be delayed and behind? Your bank is going to be wondering why you're not up here where you need to be at. Your carpenter's going to go find another job while he's waiting on you to get caught up. That's going to put you further behind. So how can I help you get this going? Do you need a book? Can I sit down with you and show you some things? Do you have something in mind already? a lot of questions that we can ask about what they're doing. Are you using shingles? Are you using tin roof? So there's a whole book of questions that we could ask the prospect in this way here. And now, how can I relate to that person? And it depends on what they are, who they are, where you're building, so those things we consider as well. If they're building on what we know down here in Georgia, St. Simon's Island or Jekyll Island, there's a normal rule that's a bigger house. It's going to be 2 to 3 stories high because of the room limitations that go on it. And most of the time, and I say most of the time, it is people who live up north that are coming down here once or twice a year. And so they're just, they're in that category of an I don't want to say upper class, but they're in a different class of people who are going to spend money, and money doesn't mean that much to them. They've been very successful and so forth. So you have to learn, how can I relate with them? And in this idea, and that is that I know, Mr. Joe right down here, he just built one like this also, and we supplied the needs to it. This is what we done there, But now if we're building off out here in where you have a lower cost home, and we're talking with the person or we're talking with the contractor, it depends on who you're talking to. If we have some people that's been there as long as I have, which has been 13 years. And so we are like best friends, So we have those. How's the wife doing today? How's the kids, Did he graduate? All these kind of things. So knowing your person by, first of all, where they're building at, what company, what bank are they using, who's their contractor. If you know those people, then you can have an association with them right off the game. So that's how you can relate to them. Find something that you can talk about on the same level. Do they fish? Do they hunt? Do they whatever? Notice their vehicles. Notice what they have. And so all these are physical things that you can see that help out. Now, what's unique about what I have to offer? Well, really, there's not much at all. Anybody can have a 2x4 and can sell the same 2x4. All of us buy from the same company in general areas, and the prices are compatible with what is supposed to be as far as the market is in the south region of the United States here. And so we get that because there's a letter that's sent out, so we know where the markets are. We know where everybody buys. So if you get the same 2x4 from across the road that I do, what makes me unique in being able to get that to you? And one of the things is service. If you call me, I can get it there to you, within a reasonable amount of time, And what is unique about it is that we can supply different kind of windows. If something breaks, we'll come and fix it. We can help you with your plans. We can know this. We have several people that we recommend, and so our services reach just beyond selling you a product. Because I have a salesperson that's been doing this for 33 years. So there's a lot of connections that we have that we can offer to you as connections in that way. And so that's one of the unique things that we can offer, because everybody can have a 2x4 and sell it. But there are some services that come with that, and that's what we usually base our stuff off of, is that our service far exceeds the most of the rest of them around in the area. And then the last one is, why should they care? Why should they care about my products? And I have to make them feel like they're part of our group. That's why they should care. I mean, other than that, like I said, there's 7 other people competing for that same person. And if they got lower prices, if that's what they care about, I'll miss that sale. Because there's nothing I can do if they're just seeing only dollar signs, and the rest of the stuff I've talked about has no bearing to them at the point that I make contact with them. Now, many times we have found that when people start out and they don't get the service on time, and like I said, the contractor says, well, I can't wait a week here to build this. I got 3 more houses in line. I'll come back, whenever you get this worked out. Now the people start seeing, okay, well, I'm not getting the service I need. So they come back over here and they see us. So that's just an example of what we can do in the physical realm, and that's what I deal with. But now, when it comes to the online world, it's no different. It really is. It's a little bit different, but you still ask the same questions, okay? You still ask the same questions. You still got to do your research. You got to find your target market that you're looking for, and you got to learn these things about them through the things that are on the internet, so that when you go to talk to them with your ad or with whatever you have to present in front of them to get their attention, it is as if you are reading their minds. Oh, that's exactly what I want. Click on that right there and let me take you over there. And that's what we want to do. We want to look at those things and try to bring people to our place over here. And the difference between working online as a majority of things and working in the physical world like I do or have been doing is that online, when you do these things and you do your research in the right way, you have no actual rejection to you in your face. One time I had my salesman went out to a job to talk to the man about it, and the contractor that was there, he just didn't like salesmen period from anywhere, and he took his hammer and run him off the job site. So that's complete rejection. But online, see, if you do it online, you write your ad like, if nobody likes it, then you don't know that. It's not directed to you with ugly, shall we say. And so that's the benefit of being online and learning these things and learning how to apply these things to your life, is that now you are able to attract people to you instead of having to get into your car or your truck and drive out to the job site and say, look what I have for you. If you present it in the right way, they will come to you. Now, this is just one step in a 10-day free boot camp type thing that you can get from me. If you look right above me here again on my page, you'll see there's a link there that says www.baxtercribs.com/AMBC. And that stands for Attraction Marketing Boot Camp. And it's yours free. There's 10 days of it that comes to you. This little section here is just part of one of the days that you will be able to receive all these great tips. And I just use mine, and this is written by Furnace Tobias in there. He gives you different examples in case mine didn't exactly fit what you might understand. There's videos there to read, to watch, and there's also the same, it is written down for you to read in case you happen to be a reading person. And so, if you will, go over there, check that out, be able to download that, and you can have 10 days of learning how to attract people to you so that you can have rejection-free marketing in your life. And then you can understand how these things are applied in that process. My friends, I want to thank you for stopping by this evening with Training with Baxter. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. We will see you on the next Facebook Live.